Hey everybody, welcome back. This video is going to be a quick product review and test of TotalBoat Penetrating Epoxy by Jamestown Distributor.
Hi, I'm Dale, and this is Dale of All Trades. I'm constantly finding myself having to repair something, install something, or find out the hard way that something just isn't worth the money. So I figured I'd take you along for the ride, and hoping along the way to inspire you to try your hand at some repairs yourself. You can expect to see repairs, reviews, how-tos, and anything in between. A special thanks to anyone who has already subscribed. Please consider subscribing. The more the merrier in this journey. So let's figure out what's going on now and get to it.
Alright everybody, as you can see by that intro, we are going to be doing a product review of TotalBoat Penetrating Epoxy. Now, if you saw my previous video, you'll know why I'm using this. This is kind of going to be rolled in as part of the boat floor redo. If you haven't seen that video, go ahead and check it out up here in the corner of the video. I will have an information tab, you can click there. Otherwise, you can see all parts of this video series in the description section below in the video links. Now, I just wanted to do a separate video of this penetrating epoxy just so that I don't have to go in great detail on the actual floor videos. So if this is something you want to skip over or you decide to use a different product yourself, it's not taking up time in my actual boat floor video explaining every aspect of this epoxy. Now, as far as explaining every aspect of this epoxy, I will put up on the screen now some more information about this epoxy and go through it with you.
Okay, couple quick disclaimers. This is the gallon kit for cold weather applications. If you were looking at this for the other normal temperature application setup, some things may vary information-wise. Also, as you can see, it is spendy, $179.99 without shipping or tax, making this a fairly spendy epoxy. Now, this is the information guide. If you're looking for more in-depth details about this formula, be sure to check out the website, which I will have linked in the description section of this video. I will also have main characteristics of this epoxy listed in the info section as well. There's one thing I wanted to touch in on this page, and that is uses. Sealing wood fibers, sealing open wood pores, gluing wood fibers back together, fungi and mold protection, and rotten wood restoration. That is what I wanted to test with this video.
Okay, so that's the specs on that and all the nitty-gritty you need to know. Now, another side note, I actually paid an additional $15 for these special pumps, and there's a reason why. It's going to make life a lot easier, and for $15, totally worth it to me. The reason is this takes all the measurements and all the thought process behind mixing the epoxy with the hardener out. You don't have to worry about it. You put the short throw spring, the one marked 2-to-1, you put that in your smaller jug, the hardener. You put the longer throw spring in the epoxy jug. And what that does is one full pump to one full pump, and you're perfectly mixed. Okay, the biggest reason I went with this brand epoxy was for two reasons. First being, it states that it restores and repairs rotten wood, which obviously with my project is something I'm dealing with. It also says it's injectable. If you mix it with acetone, you can put it in a syringe and actually inject it into spaces. That's a big plus for me. Also, you can use it on non-damaged wood to help seal the wood against weather and wear. Now, I'm going to be doing a test trial run, which you will see here in this video, on the piece of plywood that was in my boat that covers the gas tank. One of the first things you want to do when it pertains to making sure the wood is clean, working with anything that's going to have any possible issues with adhering to the fibers of the wood, you want to go ahead and clean that surface with acetone. Now, acetone is a non-oil cleaner, So it's going to pull any impurities out of the wood, and it dries quickly, so that's a big advantage with using acetone. Now you want to clean the entire surface. Anywhere you're putting the epoxy on, make sure it's clean. Now another thing I did prior to putting this on these stands was I put 4 screws on each corner in where the wood is good so that I can flip it over and air can get everywhere, and the epoxy will never touch my sawhorses gluing the wood to it, and I can do both sides in one coat. Okay, so obviously when mixing this stuff you want an old container that you don't care about. I just happen to use this old Tupperware container that we had that didn't have a lid. If I wasn't supposed to use this, you'll know because I won't be putting out any more videos anymore because my wife will see this and kill me. Alright, so let's show you how much comes out on one pump. This is the epoxy. It's 1 full stroke. Now hardener. 1 full stroke. Now this is actually 2 full pumps as I put a little in before starting the video. Now one thing it is very adamant about is you have to mix it well. So I'm gonna mix it with this stir stick I had laying around. Alright, let's take this paintbrush and move over to the rotten wood. Alright, we got our epoxy all mixed up. I think I'm gonna need to mix more up. I don't think this is gonna be enough. My main goal is to make sure all the fibers of this wood soak this up. I think with this side, what I'm gonna do is put it on 1 coat without any acetone mixed. Then the next go around, I will mix some acetone with it and see what kind of a difference it makes. Alright, piece is flipped over. As you can see, I'm going to mix the epoxy the same you've seen, except I'm going to add acetone, and it says mix that in equal parts. It doesn't really go into any further detail, so I'm going to mix it in equal parts with the hardener, not the epoxy. And it's something I'll have to experiment moving forward. If anybody watching this has used this product before, tell me how you like to thin it. Definitely a big difference in consistency. Let's see how it differs in the end product. Holy man, a lot easier to paint on too. Definitely easier to work with as far as paintbrush style if you thin it with acetone. Now we will let this sit 24 hours and I will show you what it looks like around the same time tomorrow. Which side is better, if there is a better side or not, mixing with acetone or not. So I'm very curious to see what that's like. So see you tomorrow. Okay, it's day 2. As you can see, it's dry. I'm touching it, nothing's happening. Now, here are the findings. This was the side, if you remember, that I put the thick coat on, the non-diluted with acetone. Now, what I found was it did kind of dry, a little blotchy and raised. I also found that the rotten or not as favorable portions of the wood actually soaked it up better, which is a good thing. And it really did make that wood fiber hard really well. Now flipping it over, the side that I diluted with acetone seemed to have worked a lot better. It's not as blotchy. It is a little bit yet. Now I'm sure a second coat would really make this shine almost like a polyurethane. That's not something I'm going for on this particular project, so I'm going to leave it. I'm just trying to protect the wood and seal it up a little bit better. Now, the other thing I noticed about the acetone side is that it dried and cured quicker than the straight non-diluted side. It took an entire 12 hours to get to the point where I could actually touch it and not have a little bit come back off. And it is still a little bit kind of tacky. And it is cold, and it did drop below the minimum rated temp last night. There's nothing I can do about that, but these are my findings, and take it or leave it, I still think it's a pretty good product. Okay, my final conclusion on this product is I think it's really good. I personally have never worked with an epoxy before, so there may be things that I was doing that aren't perfect techniques, and it's something I definitely would like to work with again in the future and test it out. Now, I will say, if you were working on something that you wanted to look rustic or driftwoody, this product would be amazing for that, to bring out the natural tones in the wood. I mean, look at that. That is really pretty in my opinion. You've got that rotten like driftwood look, and it gets like sun faded down to the center. Really good looking. Now, like I said again, if you were to sand this, wait till it was really, really cured, sand it up one more time, put maybe 1 or 2 more coats on there, that would be beautiful. Now, if you were doing something with like bark on it, that would be perfect with this particular product. So that's my findings with this tiny little project. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Let me know if you've used this particular product before. And as always, please consider subscribing. I'm always testing out little things like this as I use them. And stay tuned for more boat floor projects. And I will see you in the next video.